Hi, I'm Allie from the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to demo our Mayflowers class. What this consists of is a bead for your center, either a 6mm, 8mm, 10. You don't want to go smaller than 6 unless you're using really tiny beads. This one here was an 8mm Swarovski. This one here is a 10mm round Swarovski. I'm going to be using a silver round bead. And what size seed beads I'm using are 8/0 seed beads, and I'm using 3mm check glass beads just to show you that you can do it with Swarovski crystals or with check glass. After these are done, you can connect them together. You can make a bracelet or a necklace. It also mimics a fast ladder stitch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've cut my wildfire thread, and I'm using 0.008. Either size will work. And I've cut it to about 20 inches. I'm using black thread so you can see it. Normally with these beads, I would choose a white thread, but the black thread is easier to see. So I can either put on a bead stopper or a stop bead. I'm just going to hold my thread in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5 seed beads on my needle. And then I'm going to run my thread through my bead so that they are on the outside of the bead. And pull tight, and they're just going to hang out on the outside there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. 5 more beads. 5 of those 8/0s go on, and I'm always taking my needle from tail through the bead towards the tip. And once I have that, I have a little sphere here that has the beads around it. To secure them and to join the beads together, what I'm going to do is take my needle, I'm going to sew through all of the beads in a circular fashion. So I'm sewing through one side, and then I'm going to continue sewing through straight to the other side. What this is going to do is join those beads a little bit closer around my base bead. So I'm sewing the whole way around, and I'm going to come out through bead 3 that I put on. And that's just going to pull those seed beads a little tighter around my bead. You can notice that there is a little bit of space. That space will get spread out a little bit as I work because those seed beads are going to get just a tiny bit spread apart. If you want to, you can make it tight. What may start to happen is that it does start to buckle a little bit. So now that I have that, and you can start anywhere on this portion, now that I have that, I am going to add 3 of my check glass beads onto my needle. I'm going to sew back in a circular fashion through the same bead that I came out of, and then I'm going to sew through the next 8/0 bead in line. Pull my thread through, and what's going to happen is it's going to create one of my little petals. Next, I'm going to add 2 beads. So originally I added 3. This time I'm adding 2. I'm going to put the 2 beads on, and I'm going to go through the side bead of my last petal downward, taking the needle down. That goes through, and then what I'm going to do is go through that same bead, that 6/0 bead or 8/0 bead that I was coming out of. I'm going through that same bead here, and I'm also at the same time going through the next bead in line and pulling my thread up. I'll demo it again for you. I have my 2 beads that I'm putting on, sewing through the bead on the side of the one before it, back through my 8/0 seed bead, and back through the next seed bead. You're going to continue this the whole way around your circle until you get to a point of connection. Now that I've made it the whole way around my bead, what I'm going to do is fill in this gap here that's at the top. So my last rotation, I put on my 2 beads, I went through my bead, came out my seed bead. Normally I'd come out my seed bead and I go through the next seed bead, which would be this one. Instead, what I'm going to do is come out my seed bead and go up through my next check glass bead. I'm going to add another bead, and then I'm going to sew down through my original bead, then through the next seed bead. and pull tight. That's going to close up that gap right there where I was missing a bead. Then what I'll do is I'll continue sewing back through my entire center in order to finish off my little flower here. If you know that you do want to attach these together, you can leave these tails on and sew one to the other. And the place to sew these on, especially if you're using the same size bead, is to sew them where they would also form a 3-piece unit. You can do them bigger, smaller. You can use different size beads and connect them together. Also with this one here, I did sew beads along the side. You can sew teardrops along through the side. So have fun with this. This is our Mayflowers class. And again, you really can use anything for this. It's basically a fast brick stitch.